Hi, everyone. My name is Komal Sandhu. I am a Developer Student Club's Global Team Program Manager. I am based out of New York City, and I'm so excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about Developer Student Clubs. Before I begin, I did want to take a second to just say, one, thank you so much for having me to the MENA team, but also, two, that I hope that everyone here is staying safe. And thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions, we'll have time at the end to ask them. But throughout the talk, also, I'll be pausing and asking some questions. So feel free in the chat to type it in. I'm monitoring it on my phone. And so we'll have a really good discussion, right? So again, to introduce myself, my name is Komal, and I'm a global program manager at Google Developers. I lead developer student clubs with Erica Hansen, based out of New York. And today we're going to chat a little bit about developer student clubs, what the program is, what the history is, and why we really focus on this. I'm going to keep my speaker notes up so that you can follow along with me in case that I speak a little too fast, okay? So jumping in, I want to start the conversation with just asking this group. I know there's DSC leads watching and maybe GDG leads. I think this question is relevant to all, right? How many of you want to work in tech after you graduate? And the reason I ask this question is I think it's something that typically at summits, when I ask this question, almost every single person in the room raises their hand and says, yes, I want to work in tech. And typically what happens, right, is we end that and follow up with a question and say, okay, well, do you feel like you have all the tools you need in order to work in tech? And at this point, most people's hands start going down. And so you see this discrepancy between people wanting to work in tech, right? And when you ask them, hey, do you have everything that you need in order to actually achieve that? You see the hands go down. Now, that discrepancy between the demand and the ability to achieve that demand, right, is the whole reason why DSC exists. The student developer experience is quite fragmented, and DSC aims to solve that. We attempt to bridge the gap between theoretical and practical application for student developers, right? And so it's interesting to take a second to really think about that. When to give you a little context, over the last year and a half that I've been working with the DSC program, we've talked to a lot of different students across the globe. And we've learned a lot about the kind of curriculum that they are exposed to on their university campuses. Some are really strong. They have great professors. The curriculum is keeping up with industry standards. But the truth is, a lot are not. In education systems, the knowledge is not keeping up. The curriculum is not keeping up with how quickly the industry is changing. And so many students across the board, whether it's in India, in Indonesia, parts of Africa, even North America, really, they say the same thing. Hey, a lot of my university curriculum is more theoretical, but what I need is more practical application. And so that's one of the reasons why DSC's goal is to bridge the gap between theory and practice for student developers. So to take a second to really talk about what exactly are developer student clubs. Now, developer student clubs are university-based communities that help student developers learn together, and then they take that knowledge and they work with their communities to solve real-life problems. And we'll get a little into that. Now, taking the time to understand the history, I think, is really important because that speaks to why we do this and what's important to all of us, not just working on the program teams, but within our communities. So DSC launched in 2017, so it's still very new, as a pilot in India to help solve the challenges university graduates were facing securing employment in the tech industry. So we aimed to provide students with the resources, opportunities, and experience necessary to be industry ready, all while still pursuing their degrees. Now, since then, right, the program has grown to over 69 countries. We're in over 850 universities. There are communities on all of these campuses focused on developer success. But it's really important to note that the reason why all of this started is that we had a lot of students graduating with degrees, but somehow still not getting jobs. And so we surveyed industry professionals, we surveyed students to understand where exactly was that breakdown. And it reinforced our thesis, right? That student developers are not necessarily getting everything that they need in order to come out of school when they graduate and hit the ground running. So that's a little bit more about our history. One of the other questions that comes up in as I talk to students, as I talk to different communities is, okay, this is really cool. It's very thoughtful. It's very focused on the developer, but why does Google care about this? And the truth is this program and why we do it aligns directly with the commitment of this company, right? So Google is committed to just significantly improving the lives of as many people as possible. And our tool to do that is technology, right? And so it's really important to note that anything that we're doing connects back to that original commitment to us as a company, and it trickles down from the highest level, down from Google to Google developers, to developer student clubs, to hopefully in your community. And so I wanted to take a second to talk about Google developers specifically, right? So we've got Google, and then within that, we've got Google developers. Both are committed to continuously improving the lives of people. Right. And that stems through in the vision of Google developers as well, because our commitment at Google developers is developer success. Right. We focus on enabling developer success. And at developer student clubs, we recognize that students are not consistently provided with all the tools to be successful and industry ready for careers as developers. And what the MENAT team today is doing, right? We're committed, and it's a testament to that same commitment and that same focus on developer success, and really ensuring that we are understanding what is it that our communities need and making sure that we are offering and supporting them in any way that we can. So I do want to take a second to just say thank you for that. As I've met developers over the last couple of years, this conversation constantly comes up. It's okay, why? And I think it's super important to note, because for the ones that are watching this presentation, right, we've got developer student club leads, we've got Google developer group leads, organizers. It's important to note why we're doing this, because I think that commitment resonates strongly with you as well. So we talked a lot about the why and some history. Let's get into talking a little bit about developer student clubs specifically. The program is new, so I do want to take a few minutes to just walk you through, hey, what exactly does a developer student club do? So like I mentioned, there are now over 800 and I think 60 universities with developer student club communities on them that are engaging with students, understanding their needs, and building kind of a plan each year on how to support them. There are many DSC leads watching this, so kudos for being identified and collaborating with us each year. One thing that's unique for developer student clubs is they commit for 1 year, versus in Google developer groups or other programs where it continues beyond. So it puts a little pressure on DSC leads, right? Now, like I said, Google collaborates with DSC leads once a year. And similar to how we are committed to developer success for students, they are committed to developer success on their campus, right? So the commitment is to anyone that's interested in growing as a developer. It's a DSC lead's role to understand who they are, right, and build a plan that really supports them and caters to their needs. At the end of the day, each community is theirs. And for DSC, because it's campus-based, and each campus has different things going on it, different curriculum, different types of faculty, different focuses, there are regional nuances. Each community can look and feel quite different. But at the end of the day, the one thing that's very consistent is that this is your community. Right? So please don't forget that. And at the end of the day, like, Google does not own or manage these communities. We are here in the background to empower, enable, provide as much support as we can. But at the end of the day, it's yours, right, to mold into whatever works best for your community. Now, I talked a lot about how each community can be a bit different. The truth is, our strategy, our plan is very simple, right? We want our organizers and everyone to focus on getting to know your community first before you do anything else, right? So we encourage DSE leads to take time to get to know their community. Your community is your university campus. It might be small, it might be big. Take time to understand, who are the students? What are their interests? How big is your CS program? Are there strong students that can maybe join your team, that can support as speakers, as mentors? Are there faculty members that can actually support you and be advisors? What are the communication channels that work on your campus? What does the actual CS curriculum look like? What is the interest level? What is the appetite? Maybe you have a large group of students that are interested in competitive coding. Maybe others are really new and beginners and don't know where to begin. Maybe you actually have a grad program that has people in different majors, but they're interested in learning about developer technologies. And really take the time to understand, what is it that my community looks and feels like, and where can the DSC really add value? Now, the info session is an activity that typically DSC leads will host at the beginning of their term to really do that. It's not just about like building hype and showing, hey, this is what Developer Student Clubs is all about, but it's also about digging into the community and understanding their needs, maybe surveying some students, building their core team. Now, after that, once you've understood your community, then comes setting up your club and really building a plan. And when I say building a plan, it's very easy to get into tactical things, right? With events, oh, we're going to plan this and we're going to do that. And it's very tempting to get into that. Um, but it needs to go hand in hand with asking yourself the questions around, hey, what is our vision, right? Where are we trying to add value? What is our purpose as a community? And it might look different on one campus versus another. So super important to do that. The 7 Ps of community, if you guys haven't looked at it, it's a really great activity that you can do with your fellow organizers to almost take a step back and say, hey, what is our purpose? Who are our people? Where do we meet? And especially with the changes that are going on recently due to COVID, where we can't necessarily meet with our communities in person, it's a great time to take a step back and reassess. Hey, what is our goal? What is our purpose? Maybe it hasn't changed at all, and all that's changed is the how, right? So that's an important part of what developer student clubs do, or in the earliest stages. And then their activities kick off. And this is a variety of different types of activities where there are workshops, right? That include speaker sessions, hands-on workshops, there's project building, and there's demo days where communities will build projects and then show those off to their universities and to maybe their greater community. What's really cool is the vision for us is that we believe hands-on workshops are a really great mechanism to help groups grow their knowledge. And then project building is a really great activity to take that knowledge and convert it into relevant skills. And the platform that we use to enable that kind of shift between theory and practice is the solution challenge. I'm going to quickly touch on it, but I know there's a lot of talks about this later, and we actually have students and participants sharing the work that they've done, so I don't want to get too much into it. But for those of you that don't know, it's an annual contest that invites students from DSE communities to develop solutions for local community problems using one or more Google products or platforms. So the reason we do this is because we want students to be able to have a platform to take that knowledge that they gain through workshops, let's say, and actually apply it to real problems around them. Take the time, connect to people in their community, connect to maybe people on their campus, local businesses, and understand what are the challenges that they're facing and how can the technology and the knowledge that you learn actually solve that. Right. So we want to essentially play the role of a platform rather than actually doing this for you. So we encourage you to participate in this, and we hope to recognize and learn more about the kind of work that's happening in the communities. So I'm going to pause there, and I shared a lot of information. I want to leave you with a quote that one of our DSE leads shared in an exit survey. And I think it encapsulates the why and the vision of, it's a good reinforcement for what we've been trying to do, which is that the one thing truly awesome about the DSE program is that students use their skills to solve real world problems, unlike other clubs that only involve teaching concepts. DSE is a club like no other. So reading this for Erica, myself, many of the Googlers that support this program, it's really inspiring to get feedback from our communities, from our organizers, and say, hey, this is what stands out about the program. And to know that it directly connects to what our vision is, it's a reinforcement of that. So I'm going to pause there. I want to leave enough time for questions. So we've got a good 20, 30 minutes to really start chatting. So yeah, I'll pause there. What questions do you have? Oh, wow. By the way, I'm looking at the live chat and seeing the questions that come in. I also see Erica in here. This is so exciting. So I feel like everyone is just saying a lot of highs. We are open for questions. Let's see. I see some DSC leads in here. Hmm. Okay, so I can maybe kickstart by sharing some of the frequently asked questions that we've gotten in the past. Um, oh, actually, so there's a question in here that says, do you have any offering for essentially alumni leaders? Now, this is something that developer student clubs were figuring out, right? Again, the program is new, and so we're open to ideas on it. But essentially, when DSC leads graduate or through the program, we encourage them to still be part of the community. And so for the solution challenge, for example, we've invited the prior DSC leads and alums to join as mentors, to support with some of the judging, to share best practices. So we've got, we're trying to look for really creative ways to ensure that the alumni continue. One thing is when we are having DSC leads join, we let them know that the vision is it's not just a 1-year commitment and it ends there, but then you actually stay on as a mentor and guiding the community, helping it be successful. And then through these, maybe they can join back up as a speaker for events. For the solution challenge, they can support as a mentor. And we love to spotlight the work to see what alumni are up to. And so a huge part of what we do is also share a lot of stories around what alumni are up to after being part of DSC. I hope that answers your question. So I see another question that says, what is the difference between GDG and, I guess it says GSC, but I think you mean DSC. This is an interesting question, right? Now, the vision is that Google developer groups primarily focus on professional developers and developer student clubs focus on students. Now, the reason that came up was because there were so many students that were part of GDGs. This does not mean that students stopped going to GDGs. This just means that there was a lot of demand for students to have a specialized program and a commitment to them that was tailored to their needs. And so developer student clubs are campus-based, which is a bit unique, though there are some GDGs that have been campus-based in the past, right? So they're campus-based. They don't follow the traditional kind of campaigns. We focus more on activities. There's a 1-year commitment because we recognize that many students really can't commit for a long term. Internships come up, different things come up. And so we wanted to build something that was catered to the needs of students where there wasn't a super long-term commitment. It was right on their campuses, which allows them to really be able to be more involved. Now, some feedback that we received was many students were staying on campuses, right? And so if they were staying on campus, it was hard for them to go to meetups in city centers. Maybe they didn't have ways to get there. So having an offering that was on campus, that was community-based was really important. But the truth is, like, the vision stays the same, right? For what GDG is doing or DSC is doing, we're committed to helping developers grow. It just looks and feels a little bit different sometimes, but the truth is I personally encourage GDGs and DSEs to come together and collaborate, understand who their community is, and see who can focus on what. I hope that answers your question. Also, the solution challenge is something that's specific to developer student clubs. And that's because one of the themes that we got from students was, okay, like I'm upskilling through workshops, but I want to build that into a skill to be more job ready. And so the project building element is something that has been unique to developer student clubs, but we've seen examples where GDGs have been partnering and mentoring DSCs to kind of build their projects. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me see what else is in here. Okay. What is needed to be included in the solution challenge submission? That is a great question. I see a few others, so we'll answer that. So for solution challenge, the key points that we're looking at is essentially we want to see custom code, right? So we asked for a link to your code, and we have engineers that are going to be doing the evaluation. We want to see a video that essentially shows the user interface, so how it interacts or a user will interact with your solution, because what we're looking for is ensuring that we've considered the user first. I'm going to actually show you guys the contest site that walks you through it. So let me, in case you don't know, the short link for the contest site is goo/.gle/solution challenge. And this is a really great resource to really have like a rubric of exactly what we're looking for in the submission. And it kind of gives you questions, guidelines. So if you get together with your team and essentially go through and say, hey, did I do all of these things? But in order to qualify, you essentially submit your video, you submit your custom code, and all of that is also outlined in the terms and conditions. But this is super important. The three big things that we're looking for are the impact that the solution is having, the way that it incorporates technology to create that impact, and then does it consider scalability? All right. But this is going to be your like go-to resource. And the terms and conditions here essentially spell out everything that you need to do in regards to submissions and all the stuff that needs to go in there. So do check this out when you get a chance. What else? Let's see. We answered that. What do you provide for the clubs? Do you give G Suite, GCP? So this is, I think regionally, it can vary a little bit. I can share a little bit of perspective just globally. I think our goal is developer success, right? And so as we get access to learning platforms, our focus is more on learning platforms. So like Quick Labs, Coursera. Recently, there was the cloud offering that just was announced a couple of days ago, where you have access to Pluralsight, Quick Labs, and Coursera, I believe, for 30 days. So the goal is we're constantly from our end working with teams to understand how can we build a more robust offering. G Suite isn't something that we've done traditionally in the past because it becomes quite similar to an organization. But the truth is, like, we're constantly taking feedback from our communities and then working as a team to figure out how we make that better. The beauty about community is that it's all about you, right? Running as a self-sustaining community, and our role is less about managing or owning the community, but more empowering and enabling. And so we're learning and we're trying to add as much as we can. And each region can be a little bit different, but the vision is to focus more on learning enablement. And so you've seen that through Quick Labs, Coursera, Pluralsight Access, and stuff like that. Let's see, what else? I see a question around how can I be a leader for our DSE team? So the good news is you're asking that at a really great time. DSE lead interest form is actually up right now. So I'm going to show you our website. This is the short link, and .gle/DSE-leads. By the way, my dog is barking in the background, so I apologize for that. So if you enter that short link, that will bring you to our website, particularly to the leads page. And if you want to fill out an interest form, click on become a lead, and that'll bring you to your form. Keep in mind that the form includes a YouTube video. And so when you click into it, I can just show you, it'll walk you through. We have been able to localize our form to a certain degree, which is really exciting. So we actually have an Arabic form, we have a Korean form, one in traditional Chinese, and Brazilian Portuguese. Can't do it for all languages, but it's progress, which is exciting. And this includes a video where we've given you a couple of prompts to talk about this. And we ask for links to your LinkedIn and just any projects that you build so we can get to know you a bit better. And the key things that we're looking for, honestly, is your leadership qualities and your passion for creating impact. I think those are the two most important things, with a foundation and interest in technology. So that's kind of what we're looking for. I'm sure Erica will talk about it in her next talk a bit more, but that's there. So please do check out the website in case you have questions. To show you again, it's GLE/DSC leads. Bam. And that brings you to the page. Cool. So I see a question in here about what would I gain if I joined the DSC core team? Now, this is an interesting question because I've heard it quite a bit. The purpose of the core team truly winds up being the backbone of the community, right? What's interesting is also most of the DSC clubs that are now the second year round, most of the new leads are core team members. And so that's one, right? Traditionally, a lot of the core team members wind up being the next round of DSC leads. From a recognition standpoint, this was something our first year we learned a lot, is that the core team plays a really critical role, and we really need to think about how are we fleshing out and building the benefits of the core team. And so the solution challenge is actually a huge opportunity where it's open beyond DSC leads to core team members as well as members. And it allows us to recognize them in a meaningful manner. In addition, when the term is coming to an end, DSC communities receive like a graduating lead package with a certificate and kind of a letter of experience. And so we do share a template with DSC leads for them to share out with their core team members. We're coming up with creative ideas. So if you have any ideas around how we can recognize core team members more, please do let us know, talk to your regional leads. The truth and the beauty about a program as new as Developer Student Clubs is we have the opportunity to build it together, right? So sharing feedback is super, super important. Everything that the program is today, honestly, is a product of feedback we've received from DSC leads and core team members in the last 2 years. The other thing for core team members just to note is as we are coming up with opportunities on a quarterly basis where maybe there's local events, maybe there's local meetups, maybe there any recognition on a quarterly basis, we try to open that up to not just DSC leads, but core team members as well, those that are high performing. So work with your DSC lead, right? And work with your regional communities. It's a flat org. We should all be kind of talking to each other, sharing feedback, and grow and improve the program together. Let's see. We've also, by the way, we've opened up previously like access to Coursera, access to Quick Labs, and open that up beyond DSC leads too. So it goes to core team members as well. So you get a lot of the similar access as you do DSC leads. But if you have any thoughts, please do share them so we can continue to improve the program together. Gotcha. Okay, so whose nationality is from a blacklisted country by USA? Can he join the solution challenge? It's a good question, right? This isn't something that we necessarily control per se. If they're a member and their email is associated with a submission and it comes from one of the countries that in the terms and conditions is, now I wouldn't say blacklisted, but we just can't accept submissions, the terms and conditions are going to be your source of truth to follow that. So in here, I believe it annotates which countries that we can't. except from because the thing is, it's not your university isn't necessarily participating in the solution challenge because it's open to individuals. It has to do with the individual. It's not something that we can really. I think these rules go beyond just developer student clubs and the solution challenge, and it's kind of a bigger conversation that we don't really have much control over. So I apologize for that. We, but yeah, one thing to note is this contest is not about the university and submitting to the solution challenge, but more so the individuals participating in it. And each submission can have, apologies, my mom is messaging me. These submissions can have up to 4 people in a team, and we collect each individual's email address and contact information to make sure it's fair and equitable. So unfortunately, if it doesn't match the terms and conditions, we wouldn't be able to qualify the submission. Let's see what else is on here. Interesting. Yeah, I think if you're not, how about this? Let me get back to you. I think the terms and conditions should spell that out. If not, let's find out more information and we can take this offline. So I will connect with the MENAT team after and just see, and follow up on that question and try to get you an answer. How's that? Okay, I think there was another question that I may have missed. Let me see. Why GDG MENA not allowed to make event fees? I see a question in here at 11:19 that says why GDG and MENA is not allowed to make events by fees or by paid tickets like Asia, Europe, and USA. Could you elaborate what you mean with that question? I can't guarantee that I can answer it, but it would be helpful if you could just elaborate exactly what you're alluding to. Cool. What else? I'm thinking we'll give it another few minutes and see if there's any other questions and take it from there. Are there any other frequently asked questions that you guys have come across, or is there anything else that's top of mind for this group? Because we also have GDG organizers watching the stream as well as DSC leads. It would be great to understand from a GDG perspective, is there any kind of ambiguity or questions about developer student clubs coming from your perspective? Looks like our questions may have paused a little. I can take a quick minute to share a little bit about just recent context with everything that's going on with COVID-19 and the transition from in-person to online. Oh, actually, we have some questions, so let me take a look at these. Does the solution challenge restrict the nationality of the member of the university? So we're going to have to actually answer that question offline. Bottom line, in the submission form, it's only has the country of the university, and then we are collecting the student's information. So technically, right, the university is not from any of those countries, so that should work, but having the individual, the competition is not between the university and Google, but more so with the individual. So I'd love to take it offline, get some more information, and get you an answer about that. So we can follow up right after this presentation. And then we were able to post the update of where you can apply for, fill out the DSC lead interest form as well on here. So I was going to jump in and just quickly share a little bit about the transition to moving online with everything that's going on with COVID. And so developer student clubs, The solution challenge in itself is a really great opportunity. It's an offering that was already based a lot online, right? And so as we go into this space where there's challenges meeting in person, your communities are getting displaced, um, you're going to see kind of two trends. And you're going to see people that right now engaging in community can't be top of mind of them. And then you have a group that's really interested. And for that group, I think leveraging what the MENAT team is doing and what Solution Challenge offers are really great opportunities to connect with each other, work on something together. So I would really encourage creating a space to reconnect with your communities, see what's top of mind for them, and those that want to continue to connect. We are providing them with an opportunity to get together and be there for each other and learn from each other. So if you guys have any questions, though, please do not hesitate to reach out. This is my LinkedIn. Erica keeps telling me that I need to make my LinkedIn a little bit better, but feel free to message me if you have any questions at all. The Developer Student Clubs program is something that's doing some really meaningful things for students. And so I hope that you take some time to learn a bit more about the program if you don't know a lot about it. And I hope that this presentation was helpful for you. And if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to give you guys some time back. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me.